The one thing that I could think that may cause them to break is that if a lot of these blue state Republicans, particularly in tough re-election races in the Senate, in Ohio, in New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Illinois, those members start to break and start to pressure McConnell to hold a vote on the Senate floor and Chuck Grassley to hold a vote in the Judiciary Committee. That could change the balance, but right now they're trying to hold.
And I think that balance will change only if President Obama can change public opinion. He can get out in the states and campaign in the states and change the environment. Because otherwise we have gridlock. I was going to say Armageddon in Washington, but Armageddon would imply action. If the Republicans won't give the president his pick, then you can bet the Democrats are not going to give Republicans anything. And they'll just tie up the Senate and will essentially say, might as well go campaign. But the question going forward is, do the Democrats get involved in this? Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders say allow the vote. But how does the president, I'm fascinated by the point, he's got 11 months left. How does he change this?
Well, I think that he is going to have to apply some pressure on people like Kelly Ayotte, on Mark Kirk, on Rob Portman, who are looking at re-election potentially in a difficult year for Republicans in the Senate. And I think it's going to be really important that he picks a candidate who Republicans would have a hard time turning down. One option would be to pick somebody who, like Sri Srinivasan, who was recently confirmed unanimously by the Senate, by the same exact Senate. Pick a historic candidate. If you went with Srinivasan, who would be the first Indian American, if you went with another woman, if you went with an African American woman or man, then that just ramps up the pressure on Republicans to block not only this president, but a historic candidate.
Yeah, that's what changes the debate right away. Right now, there's no face out there. There's no person, right? So it's all theoretical. Once the White House actually has a name with a record and perhaps someone who's
does
already
that person
voted on
does that
the Senate,
person say, "Sure, Mr. President, do it," or does that person understand the meat grinder they would go into?
I mean, I think they have to.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I would think they have to. And the other thing with Obama, him getting out here and nominating someone quickly, because the conservative machine is going to be out there saying, oh my gosh, he's going to nominate Holder. They're going to start really vilifying this person before they're even out of the gate.
And the person to watch, of course, is Mitch McConnell, who claims he's an institutionalist.
And who the Republican base probably dislikes even more than they dislike President Obama.
But the challenge for him is that he's an institutionalist. And he believes in the power of the Senate for advice and consent. And when he was under a lot of pressure on Loretta Lynch at the beginning of the Congress, he eventually led a confirmation vote, even if people like Ted Cruz were saying, do not let her get confirmed. We'll see if he breaks this time, though, because the stakes are much higher.